Many motorhomes and toy haulers come with onboard generators, also known as built-in or permanent mount, but there are some basics on how to use and maintain it that you should know for proper operation and longevity. So, let's get into it.
Now, as for the boring but important stuff, it's always advised that you read the owner's manual for the manufacturer's recommended operating procedures, as your owner's manual is going to be your best resource when learning how to use your RV's onboard generator. Also, before you start your generator, check that all appliances are powered down, especially large appliances like your air conditioner, microwave, and electric fireplace if your RV is equipped with one.
With that out of the way, let's get into the actual startup process. Now, it's worth noting that most onboard RV generators can be started by a button on the unit itself or a secondary button on a remote control panel inside the RV. Now, depending on your manufacturer's recommendation, you may need to prime the generator's fuel system by pressing and holding the stop button for the recommended interval. To start your gas generator, press and hold the start button. The onboard generator will immediately crank, but you may need to hold the button for 5 to 10 seconds until you hear the engine actually turn over.
Also, on cold mornings like today, it could take up to 30 seconds before it actually starts. Once started, you should allow your generator to run for at least 2 minutes before placing it under a load, like turning on your appliances. The generator should then continue to run until you use the switch to shut it down. Once ready to shut it down, start by turning off all appliances. Allow it to run without a load for 3 to 5 minutes, then hit the stop button. As for some quick tips, you should run the generator regularly. In fact, most manufacturers actually recommend running your generator at least once a month. To do this, you'll start it and let it run without a load for about 2 minutes. Then run it at roughly 50% load for a minimum of 2 hours. You then want to turn off all appliances and let it run again without a load for another 3 to 5 minutes before powering it off. As a side note, you want to avoid running the generator for long periods without a load at all. The next tip is a big safety concern, and while it should be fine from the factory, if you're buying used, you want to ensure that the generator's exhaust pipe extends at least 1 inch beyond the RV's exterior and is at least 6 inches away from any openings. My last tip before we talk about maintenance is that you should know the effect altitude can have on your generator. You see, generators are typically rated at 500 feet of elevation, and power will actually decrease approximately 3.5% for every 1,000 feet of elevation increased beyond that initial 500 feet. So be sure to take altitude into account when calculating the maximum load you can place on your generator to avoid overloading it. Now, when it comes to maintenance, once again, your owner's manual will be your best resource for not only service intervals, but also any recommended service procedures. Let's take the common Onan brand, for example. So for Onan diesel generators, the first oil change is 50 hours, and then every 150 hours or annually after that. And for gas models, it's every 150 hours or once per year, whichever comes first. And in addition to regular oil changes, there's a few other tips for maintaining your onboard RV generator. First is to keep the generator's compartment clean. The less dust and debris you allow to accumulate in the generator's compartment, the less its air filter will need to work to ensure clean airflow and keep the engine from overheating. Not to mention keeping potentially damaging debris from getting into the engine and therefore potentially damaging internal components. Next is to check and clean the filters regularly. Most generators are equipped with an air filter and a fuel filter. The fuel filter must be replaced according to the manufacturer's recommended interval. The air filter must be cleaned regularly by tapping it on a flat surface. Now, it's worth noting that you should avoid using water or compressed air to clean a generator's air filter. It's also recommended to regularly inspect the exhaust system for damage. Mainly, the exhaust pipe, as it's going to be exposed and subject to road debris. You want to make sure that it is not only present and hardware secured, but that it isn't bent or pinched in a way that would prohibit it from exhausting fumes properly. You also want to check for fuel line leaks. Now, while the fuel lines themselves can be difficult to access, if you notice a significant gas odor or stains underneath your RV or in its storage compartment, then you'll want to avoid starting and running your generator until you've had the fuel system professionally inspected. And as always, your best resource for any generator troubleshooting, you guessed it, will be the specific owner's manual. Now, if you found this information helpful, be sure to like and subscribe so you can get future content. Thanks for watching, and until next time, we'll see ya.